Today we're going to be doing 5, part 2. This is going to be just ordering rational numbers. So now we're going to order from least to greatest. So I see 2/3, 6/10, and 25/100. So the first thing I have to do is I have to get 2/3 into a decimal, okay? And then once I get the decimal, then I'm going to graph vertically. So in my calculator, I'm going to write 2 divided by 3, and when I do that, I get 0.6, and it's repeating, so I put the line above. Now that I have all my numbers in decimals, I'm going to go ahead and graph. And I'm going to graph, I see that all of my numbers are below 1, so I'm going to graph by tenths. So now that I have my number line, I'm going to look at 6/10, and I need to put it on my number line. So there is 6/10, and now I'm going to look at my 2/3, which is the 0.66666, right? And so that means that it is a little bit above 6/10, or greater than 6/10. So I'm going to graph it. It's like right in between, a little bit above the middle. So I graph it right up in the middle, almost between 6/10 and 7/10. Now I need to put on my 25/100. So my 25/100 is right between the 2/10 and below the 3/10 or 30/100. So I'm going to put it right in between, and there it is. So on my graph, the further you go up, the bigger it is, and the further you go down, the smaller it is, or the least it is, and greatest going up. So now we need to order from least to greatest. So we're going to see how I go up, and then up more. So we're going from the smaller to the bigger number. So I'm going to go ahead and order them in a set from going from the smaller to the biggest. So the first number I see is 25/100. And then the next number, the next point, is the red one, which is 6/10. And then finally the blue point, which is 0.6 with a bar over it, but that is 2/3. Remember, we need to put our set in according to the numbers that they gave us. And so the least to greatest is 25/100, 6/10, and then 2/3. Now we're going to order from least to greatest the -1/5, -1/4, and -1/3. So I first need to change my fractions into decimals. Okay, so the -1/5, -1/4, and 1/3. So I have to type in to my calculator 1 divided by 5. And then I get, press equals, 0.2. Now I'm going to do the -1/4. So I'm going to type in 1 divided by 4 equals 0.25. So I'm going to have 0.25, and this is going to be negative. And then I have the -1/3. So I'm going to type in to the calculator 1 divided by 3. And I get 0.3333. So I'm going to write 0.3 with a line over it since it's repeating. Now I need to graph these on the number line. In order to graph these on the number line, I need to make sure that I'm comparing them. And I see that this is 25/100. Okay, so I need to make everything to the hundredths place value. So I need to change this to 20/100. So I put a 0 behind it. And then I need to go to the blue one, which is, since it's repeating, I'm going to change that so then it goes to the hundredths and just put another 3 and then show that it's repeating. So it's 30, it looks like almost 33/100, right? But it keeps on going. All right, so now that everything is to the hundredths, I can compare them a little bit easier. So I see that I'm going to start with 20 hundredths, a negative 20 hundredths, and I'm going to write that right there. And then I'm going to count by my increments of 5 hundredths, okay? So then it would be negative 25 hundredths. So after the negative 25 hundredths, then it's negative 30 hundredths, then negative 35 hundredths. So now I'm going to graph the points. So first I have 0.2 on the first line, and then now I have negative 0.25 in red, and then I have the negative 0.33 repeating, and that's going to go in between the 0 to the left of 0.30 and then 0 to the right of 0.35, okay? And then remember that 0.35 is 1/3, or the repeating of that. So I'm going to label that. So I need to order these from least to greatest. So I need to write least to greatest, and then I'm going to look. The left side, remember, of the number line is least, and the right side is the bigger side. So I have bigger, big and small, and then I'm going to go from the smallest to the biggest. So I start at the blue, then I go to the red, and then the purple. So now I need to write them in least to greatest. In my original numbers, so I have negative 1/3, and then I have the next is 0.25, which is negative 1/4. So I need to write negative 1/4 on there. And then the last is in the purple one, which is negative 2 hundredths, or 0.2, and that is negative 1/5. So then I write negative 1/5, and that is from least to greatest, and that is my set. This is the end of ordering rational numbers.